There we go. It has just gone midday. It's Friday, the 3rd of October, 2025. And ordinarily, I would like to think that I could start this little program with a bit more zhuzh, a bit more upbeat, a bit more jolliness. But of course, I think it would be somewhat wrong to do that, given what we know has happened in Manchester in the past 24 hours. This is the Midday Show. Phil Dave here, in for Ross. Obviously, I'm not with Ross, but he's off this week and next week as well. So what a week he has missed, I dare say. As you can see, joined on screen by the inimitable, the superb, the theatre maestro that is Mr. Jonathan Baz. And it would be wrong for us not to at least nod to what we have seen yesterday on Yom Kippur. So those who don't know, Yom Kippur being the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, and of course, seeing that at least 2 members of a synagogue congregation in Manchester have sadly lost their lives in what police describe as a terrorist attack. So I think that there are plenty of words one could say. I'm not entirely sure that many words would make a difference in times like this. But Jonathan, I know that you've obviously got your thoughts on what's happened. So
yeah, no, I really, yesterday was incredibly sad, shocking, very, very upsetting. An event that those of us in the Jewish community have long recognized as possible, but to see it happen and to also recognize the environment that's fueled it is and I think there are two aspects of sadness: A, the horror and the loss of 2 noble members of a community being murdered yesterday, and B, the sadness of where our society is and where so many, not all, far from it, not all people, but where so many people, the level that they have descended to as far as anti-Semitic hatred, and that's upsetting.
Yeah, I sort of think it's very hard to argue with any of that, because the awful truth is that there seems to be one heck of a lot of complacency surrounding some of the vile terrorist propaganda language that we're constantly hearing. And I, although have no proof of it, I think it's a safe bet to say that it is very clearly what has contributed, at the very least, if not fueled, what we've witnessed yesterday. So I have no intention of making this whole show about it, because there are plenty of programs and outlets that are talking about it. We know it has happened. We're not being in any way, or trying to be in any way, disrespectful to the victims of what happened yesterday, but we would like to think that at the very least that we could try and offer something in the way of light relief. So needless to say, we of course acknowledge it. We have of course absolutely condone every single blooming second of it. And not to mention that I very much hope, even though I sadly don't think it will be, that this could be something in the way of a turning point for, at last, people in this country to wake up and realize that maybe, just maybe, Jews who prattle on about how dangerous it is to fall for the propaganda of the Middle East that's come from Hamas and Iran, that maybe there is some truth in the reason why we have to possibly move away from that in this country. Let's see what happens, shall we? Right. Mr. Baz, can we please try and lighten the mood before we depress all of ourselves even further?
Indeed. So I'm about to take a rather curious segue, and to take a Yiddish phrase, I will aim to geh gesinnt, go well, go in good health, and I will geh gesinnt to gay theatre. And that's a segue that I've never used before, possibly may never use again.
I don't know. I mean, you say that.
and to see 2 plays over the last 2 weeks, because I wasn't able to be here last week through pressures of work. So it's been 3 weeks since I've last graced these internet airwaves. But over the last 3 weeks, I've seen the very best of gay theatre, and also something that was proved to be a tad disappointing. So let's start with the disappointing first, and then we'll get better. The disappointment was the National Theatre's The Importance of Being Earnest.
No, how is this? It's not supposed to be disappointing.
Opened this week, having transferred across the river. It opened for the very, very first time around about a year ago at the National, with the formidable Sharon D. Clarke as Lady Bracknell, And for the life of me, don't ask me to remember who else played Algernon and Jack Worthing, because I can't remember them. But Sharon D. Clarke was a formidable, as I said, Lady Bracknell. She was great. One of the great roles for women, and she smashed it. And the production, I have to say, was very much camply themed and created, and to some extent, that was I must be absolutely honest. In my opinion, it didn't add anything to the evening, but it didn't overly detract. The acting was great, and the ripping yarn that is Oscar Wilde's play was done really rather lovelily. That was about a year ago. So the National Theatre, together with a few Broadway and London producers, have dug their hands in their pockets and brought it over the river into the Noel Coward Theatre. And they have completely recast it with a new cast. And they've taken its gayness, its LGBTness a little further by now casting Stephen Fry as Lady Bracknell.
Good heavens.
Um,
That's quite a sight to behold, I'm sure.
Indeed. Interestingly, chatting with one or two actresses or female actors, depending on how one chooses to use whatever the vernacular one chooses. A couple of people expressed a degree of disappointment that, again, such a cracking role. There aren't a huge number of roles for women over 50, and this is an absolute banger. And what a shame to see it going to a man. That's and I feel some degree of sympathy with that observation. The importance of being earnest is not a pantomime. At times, it's Max Webster who has directed the show then and now. It's and I've got to be honest, adding Stephen Fry detracts from the overall. He struck me very much as a pound shop Julian Clary.
Oh dear.
Yeah, quite. If you're going to have someone uh, camping it up, overacting it as a woman, then Clary is your man, because he really is one of the best. But I really don't think it was necessary. The two leads in this instance, I do know, because my review is in front of my eyes. Ollie Alexander plays Algernon Moncrief, and Nathan Stewart Jarrett is opposite him as Jack Worthing. Ollie, both of those give competent performances. The whole production, though, errs far too much on silliness. Okay, I must accept the story is, of course, does stretch the imagination considerably, and does have to stretch. What is it? Suspend our disbelief. That's the phrase I was looking for. That young baby Worthing was, of course, found in a handbag somewhere in Victoria Station. They err on the silliness far too much for my liking. It's all, in my opinion, far too overly camped. There's a little bit of a lesbian undertone between Cicely and Gwendolyn. And
Good
all
heavens.
in, indeed, all in, and also this was bad marks for the National. The scenery has been brought over from the South Bank to St Martin's Lane. It includes, which was spectacular at the Littleton Theatre, a grassy bank in the garden scene that occurs sort of through the middle chunk of the play. Beautiful grassy banks where they have tea, and much of the drama of that part of the play plays out. Here, that same grass has been shipped over, and the matting, whatever they use for it, is looking frayed. You look at the front edge of this grassy lawn, and it's tatty. And you've got people paying top end 180 quid a ticket. And I think they're entitled to some fresh looking scenery for their money.
You would like to think that that they could possibly stretch the budget a little bit, but never mind.
So for me, yeah, if you want to go and see it for the sake of curiosity, not all the tickets are 180, of course. They do go down there from that price. They do head downwards from that price. So I should be fair in that respect. it's not one for the. It really is. It's not one. It's not going to go down as a classic. Whereas last year with Sharon D. Clarke would be recognised as one of the great importances of being earnest. Not this one. And like I say, if you're interested and there's a bargain to be had, then go and see it. But it's not the best. I would
Excellent.
say, in fact, mildly
Well,
disappointing.
I have to say, I'm quite pleased that actually I'm on duty when you've reviewed that, because it saves me. I was when I saw it being advertised, I was curious, like I think most people, at what this particular incarnation of Importance of Being Earnest would be like. But I have to confess that when I saw that it was starring Ollie Alexander, I'm afraid that I was somewhat put off, because he is one of the many celebrities turned Middle Eastern scholar who has used his mouthpiece for bad and somewhat nefarious purposes, in my humble opinion. So as a result of it, I have been somewhat put off by the prospect of going to see him in that
Indeed,
production.
and he hasn't used that mouthpiece to much greater advantage in the pursuit of dramatic excellence either.
Excellent.
So that's that's Ollie Alexander. However, let me
Which
touch.
I must say, I'm brave enough to say this, which I actually think is a terrible shame, because before he actually did go ahead and open his mouth, I actually believed he was quite a good actor and indeed singer, which of course was his rose to stardom as being the front man for Years and Years, which was a band that about maybe 5 or so years ago had quite a number of hits. So
I suspect he may well be a good actor, and my criticisms of his performance probably lie with the director rather than with him. But as I say, it's a show that really is nothing special, unless you want to go there for the star quality. I have to say, on press night, it was dripping with celebrity in the audience. You've got to move for celebs. But luckily, I managed to find my way to the bar. Thank heavens.
I was going to say that they did, once they'd finished papping you, they had allowed you through, had they?
Indeed.
I need to just pause for 2 seconds there to get your thoughts on on news that I personally sort of found when I read it earlier on today. Incredibly sad, and I dare say that you will also have your thoughts on it as well. Dame Patricia Routledge, who is 96, or was 96, I should say, sadly has left us. And I thought
you're the bearer of that news to me, because
I'm sorry, because yes, it was only announced within the last hour or two by her agent. But they said that she left peacefully, surrounded by love, was the statement they used. And I personally happen to think that is quite a major loss for the performing world. So
I agree with you. My endearing memory of her on stage was as Nettie Fowler in Carousel at the National Theatre in the early 1990s, where Joe Riding and Janie Dee played the two young girls, and Phil Daniels was ghastly Jigger, and Clive Rowe was a wonderful Mr. Snow, and Patricia Routledge was the matriarch overseeing this Eastern Seaboard community. And she, of course, sang "You'll Never Walk Alone."
and she was a formidable singer, by the way.
She was, and she was magical. Long time ago, that performance. I've not seen her. Not sure what I may have seen her on since then. Fantastic woman. What a sad loss. I quite agree. Thank you for including that, Phil.
Yes. Well, I mean, it would be wrong to not talk of the greats when they leave us. And although one might be forgiven for thinking at the age of 96 is a good innings, I personally happen to believe that now, regardless of what anyone's age is, if they fall off the mortal coil, I personally think that it's sad regardless. So
yes. Let me move on to another to my second component of gay theatre, which was something that I went along. I was drawn to it by the cast. It included Tracy Bennett, who is always nothing short of perfection. The play is called The Code. It's a shame I wasn't able to be here last week, because it's only got, last week it would have had 2 weeks to run. Now it's only got 1 week to run at the Southwark Playhouse.
But at least it hasn't finished.
Correct. Where tickets are, of course, ridiculously affordable down in the Elephant and Castle. The play is called The Code, written by Christopher Renshaw. It's a new play over here, been around off possibly not, I don't think maybe on Broadway, I'm not sure, for a couple of years in the United States. And the code that is referred to in the title is the Hays Code, Hollywood's production code that ran from approximately the 1930s-ish, please don't pick me on the history, right the way through the 1950s, that really set down a moral code in Hollywood that effectively forbade evil lifestyles, homosexuality, unnecessary violence, etc. It was extremely um, oppressive. It came also at times in a backdrop to McCarthyism as well when those periods overlapped. It was known as the Production Code, the Hays Code, and one of the great Hollywood heroes of his time was an actor who stood up against it and refused to renounce his gay lover, a real life actor called Billy Haynes, who in this production is played by John Partridge. And the play revolves around an evening in Billy Haynes' apartment where Tracy Bennett drops by, who is the Hollywood star Tallulah Bankhead. And this is all set in the 1950s. And the dialogue, the sparking off between the two of these people is just gorgeous. Christopher Renshaw has written the script, and it is just a joy to listen to this sharp, witty, at times quite brutally honest dialogue, certainly about being a gay person in Hollywood. And Tracy Bennett as Tallulah Bankhead is, at times she breaks the fourth wall and is a bit of a Greek chorus. At other times she's very much a foil to John Partridge, Billy Haynes's dialogue. But then the evening is broken up by the arrival of a Hollywood agent called Henry Wilson, played by a chap called Nick Blakely, who's bringing with him a handsome young protege who's about to be made into the new Hollywood star, young chap called Chad, played by Solomon Davy. This guy, Henry Wilson, is, of course, the bad guy. He follows the code meticulously. He, of course, also is gay, but is completely happy to live a life of absolutely vile hypocrisy, doing what has to be done in public, condemning fellow gays in public. He reminded me of it was a strange connection. He reminded me from Inglorious Bastards of Christoph Waltz Jew Hunter, a man
Okay.
who's just evil.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound terribly pleasant.
No, he's not. He's not, and of course he's completely flawed himself because he is gay, etc. But makes his own homosexuality a matter of the most profound hypocrisy. The performances that these three leads give, and I have to say, together the young man Solomon Davy, who's forced to make a ghastly choice towards the end of the play. I won't say what it is because that's a spoiler. The performances of this quartet of actors left me gripped throughout. The dialogue was brilliant. The acting was even better. The design, the stage design, the setting, the direction by directed by Christopher Renshaw. Excuse me, it was written by an American chap called Michael McKeever. Christopher Renshaw was the director. It made for one of the most gripping evenings of drama that I've seen. I've seen a few, and I wouldn't say as probably the best play I've seen this year has to be Goodnight Oscar. But this play, The Code, is outstanding. It's 5-star drama, brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, a very, very affordable tickets. I would not be surprised if it goes on to have a life in the West End. It's only got a cast of 4. It hasn't got massively high production running costs. The 4 are excellent, and the play also only lasts not much longer than an hour and a half, which is never a bad thing, with no interval. Never a bad thing in my book. And it's just brilliant theatre. I didn't know what to expect. I went along knowing that Tracy Bennett was in it, so I was expecting to be very well entertained. I was more than that. I was educated. I was humbled. I was moved. At times I laughed because the actors are just so brilliant when there are moments of humor in their dialogue. Can't recommend it highly enough. That is
Well,
the code.
I see that they have quoted you on their website as a 5-star review anyway. So there you go. You've left your mark on their website.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, it's great. And like I say, I would not. Don't be at all surprised to see that beating a path to a West End stage. Hopefully later. I would imagine during next year sometime. I really hope so. It deserves it.
how much has been left to the actors versus, say, how they're often in a lot of productions, there are quite a lot of distractions with the scenery and stuff like that. If it's more of a straight-laced play, then it's more down to the actors and one's
Absolutely.
imagination.
There's
What's
no
the balance?
entirely actors.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Entirely
Oh, good. So
entirely it's gorgeously staged, a very simple set inside Billy Haynes' apartment, which has been furnished cleverly. On you can see that money has been spent. The producers that have got involved have spent a bit of money on the set, but it's a lounge, it's a sofa, it's a cocktail bar, it's a panoramic window over I think bits of Hollywood from what I remember. But there's no gimmickry. The scenery doesn't change. It all happens, as I say, in an hour and a half in one evening in Billy Haynes's lounge.
and
Uh,
true to the era as well, would you say?
I would say yes.
Nice.
Costuming is also gorgeous. The patent shoes that the gents all wear
Oh, I'm
is is
sold. I'm there.
is great. And Tracy Bennett's dress is just fantastic. Her costuming is fantastic. So yes, go and see it. One more week. Brilliant, brilliant. You won't regret it. I'm sure.
Excellent.
I believe tickets are available. Before I say, I'm sure tickets are available.
Yeah.
And let me wrap up my theatrical experiences of the last few weeks with my visit to the Garrick Theatre to see another transfer from across the river, this time from the Menier Chocolate Factory into the West End, with Mel Brooks's The Producers,
Ah.
which packed them out, sold out in a blink at the Menier last year, and rightly so. So I, in fact, myself, whilst I reviewed it last year, I'd had to send a member of my team to cover it. I was otherwise engaged and hadn't been able to cast my eyes on it myself. This time, however, I have. Andy Nyman plays Max Bialystok, who no one wears a cardboard belt better than him. And Mark Antolin is his nebbish sidekick, Leo Bloom, the erstwhile accountant. It's directed by, oh god, and my mind has gone blank. Wrote Sliding Doors, and it's directed by Patrick Marber. Oh god,
Well recovered.
that should have been at the tip of my tongue. Anyway,
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I mean, you could have told me anyone. I wouldn't have been able to help with that one.
not
So
even
it's all
not
good.
even Sliding Doors. Where did I get that from? No, sorry, excuse me. I've just had a complete brain freeze in the last
Let's just
minute.
say it's just a hangover from Yom Kippur. That's all it is.
Indeed,
It's fine.
indeed. Anyway, Patrick Marber directs, and it's everything that you want the producers to be. Andy Nyman, I have to say, as Max Bialystok. Andy Nyman is terrific. I would say he's possibly the best Max a London stage has seen.
Goodness, quite the accolade.
Absolutely, he nails the Jewish shtick of who the monster that Max Bialystok is. He nails it exquisitely, and doesn't overact. Just gets it. Zero Mostel set the bar back in 1967. I saw Nathan Lane at Drury Lane 20 odd years ago. He was great, but I think that Andy Nyman is even better. Particularly, there is a song towards the end of the show called "Betrayed," where Max Bialystok recounts all of the challenges that he's had to go through from the moment Leo Bloom walked into his office to winding up in Sing Sing prison for the tax fraud, and Nyman smashes the song out of the park. A couple of slightly niggly bits with the show. Mark Antolin, who plays Leo Bloom, he's good, but when you do have Gene Wilder stamped in your brain, it's very, very hard to play a nebbish accountant. And believe me, I've met a few nebbish accountants in my time. He says knowingly. It ain't easy to play a nebbish accountant, and I would say Mark Antolin gets an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for his take on Leo Bloom. For me, I wasn't entirely convinced. But like I say, it's a tough gig to play second fiddle to Max Bialystock. And my other slight niggle was that I understand it was outstanding at the Menier, with scenery that, of course, needs to be compressed because the Menier is a tiny space. And my gosh, they work wonders at that place with the space that they've got, the tiny auditorium, and how they can project and stage the most large scale of musicals. I don't feel they've upscaled the design and the staging enough to fill the Garrick stage, making that transition across the river. So it's not a perfect.
Do you think, out of interest, that sort of based on what you were saying with the importance of being earnest, and now with the producers as well, both times you sort of made reference to the sets and not necessarily sort of investing enough money into it. Do you think this is sort of quite a telling time as to how maybe the theatre industry is struggling a little bit financially?
Possibly. Quite possibly. I'm trying to think of, other transfers that I've seen. If I think, I don't think it's par for the course that applies to all productions that have transferred across. I think of the Nationals, Till the Stars Come Down, which transferred very recently. I think it was recently. It was only on for a short window of time at the Theatre Royal Haymarket, so it's gone now. That transferred from an outstanding 4-star production last year in the Cottesloe of all tiny places, transferred onto a big West End stage, and in my opinion, went from 4 stars to 5 stars. So the short answer to your question, Phil, is no. I think it's down to what decisions producers may make at any point in time.
Well, I'm almost quite pleased to hear the answer is no, because I'd hate to think the theatre industry was still struggling in the way that we saw during COVID. So
Till the Stars Come Down was gorgeously done at the Cottesloe, even better at the Haymarket. I think also another great transfer that came across was the Crucible, which at the National, was that the Littleton? I think so. Forgive me for not being entirely sure of that. Was outstanding there, and equally outstanding at the Gielgud a year or two ago. Nothing was skimped on the production values that went with that production. So yeah, I think it's down to each particular production where the producers are prepared to put their hands in their pocket for whatever level the budget will run to. And in fact, the Crucible, of course, had a huge cast, so the costs of mounting that in the West End were more than some shows. I mean, okay, and The Importance of Being Earnest does not have a small cast by any means, but they've spent an absolute bloody fortune in The Importance of Being Earnest on the costumes that are worn for a brief dance routine before the drama gets going, which I think adds nothing to it. And
but they didn't have the money for the AstroTurf.
Pantomime, yeah, quite a pantomime-esque display of fancy dress, gala, glitzy ladies' dresses for the bows. So in a pantomime, when it is for the time for the curtain call, all of the principals sort of quickly run off stage. It's the chorus line are taking their bows and whatever, and then the leads come on in big flamboyant, feathery, glitzy, glamorous costumes just for the purposes of taking the bow. Well, they do the same trick in The Importance of Being Earnest. Stephen Fry, of course, takes the final bow as the lead actor in this most ridiculously glitzy, colourful, tropical get-up that he wears just for the bow. And you have to think, yeah, as you said, you're right. You should have spent the money on the AstroTurf.
Well, there you go. I hate to say it, but I'm afraid that it's time for our curtain call, because that's it. That's all we've got time for.
Let me go and put my tropical headpiece on.
Yeah. I look forward to the next theatre review of you wearing that.
Indeed, I think I'm back. I'm back with you next week, I think, and I'll have a lot to speak about then.
Oh, well, there you go. Perfect. Superb. Well, it'll be you and me again to start the show because Russ is off next week as well. So there you go. Many thanks indeed, Mr. Baz. We shall see you next week. Farewell. There we go. That's theatre. From theatre on to the silver screen now, because the one and only, the legend that is Miss Chantal Rickards. Chantal, a very good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I was just about to say good morning, but you're right and I'm wrong.
Well,
how are you, Phil?
It's a curse. But anyway, do what? Sorry?
No, I say, how are you? Because I feel as though I should be reaching out to all my Jewish friends and giving them a big hug.
Thank you. I have to tell you, do you know what? It is quite delightful how many people have felt the need to do that today. And actually, it almost restores your faith in humanity when you know that there are some good guys out there. So let me be very clear. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you. I am afraid, like so many Jewish people, that I'm not completely surprised by what happened yesterday. There are many of us who have long thought it was coming. Don't think we could have ever sort of necessarily isn't how it was going to happen or how it would manifest. But I regret that there's not quite so much shock as more anger as to say to those who were ever in doubt, we told you so, kind of thing. You know, it is amazing. You don't want to go down too much of a political rabbit hole, because at the end of the day, you're only inquiring after my welfare. But I do find it baffling the way that the number of people I have encountered who say that I am being somewhat over dramatic, shall we say. I'm sure this comes as a shock, but over dramatic when it comes to the situation in the Middle East and the detrimental effect it could have to Jews around the world. Well, this is kind of what we're talking about. So I regret that it was inevitable, but I'm also very grateful for you asking all the same. So thank you, Chantal.
No, not at all. I sort of got used to the high security around places of Jewish faith when I was in America. I lived opposite the Holocaust Museum, literally opposite.
Wow.
And it was an area, a bit of LA, where there were lots of synagogues. They were very, very well protected. You could tell that they had, massive security grills at the front of them all. And I sort of got quite used to the idea that, that the people felt that an attack may happen at any stage and that people were nervous. But I hadn't really taken into account that same feeling in this country, or even really that horrible possibility of it here. I mean, I feel terrible. I feel terrible for you.
Thank you. Well, that's honestly very much appreciated. I would say that I'd argue that the security has always had to be there. That's nothing new. That is regrettably something that just, I think you'll find most Jewish institutions in this place are just used to. They have to do it. But at the same time, I guess that now it's proven why they have to have it. Because if it weren't for the brave security yesterday, and not to mention even the rabbi himself from that synagogue yesterday apparently acted in quite heroic fashion as well, one can only begin to imagine how much worse it might have been. So,
anyway. I was listening to Emily Maitlis on a podcast last night that she does, political podcast that you may listen to, I'm not sure. But she was very tearful, and it actually made me very tearful. I mean, I hate listening to people in distress or seeing people in distress, but she was obviously so distressed. She'd been at synagogue the night before, and she talked about her experience of, praying and with the the middle of your festival, and it just made it feel even more real. It's awful, really. Anyway, there we are.
Well, I mean, I don't think that it is any coincidence. Oh, good Lord, look who's decided to chime in.
Oh, is the boss back?
The boss is sort of trying to connect. He's kind of here. Are we going to let him in? What's happening. Well, it's not about not letting him in. Here he is. Hello.
Oh, there he is. How are you, boss?
Did you say you're in a cafe?
We can't hear you.
I did.
Are you just mouthing?
No, I can't help. I just wanted to say hello.
I don't think he can talk too loudly, but we can sort of hear him. So he's in a cafe. He just wants to say hello. He's checking on us. He's making sure we haven't ruined his audience. That's what it is.
Get back to your meat and two veg.
Yeah, look at that.
Thank you.
Hang on a sec. What are you eating? Oh, he's
Oh.
got scrambled egg on toast. By the way. Oh, now I'm famished. What's wrong with you? I've got
Yeah.
I've got to train someone at 1 o'clock. I can't even eat lunch until about 3. What's wrong with you?
Oh, bye-bye.
Oh,
Bye.
oh, thanks for popping in. Bye. Good Lord. Right. Anyway, there you go. Never mind. Right. Anyway, that was a strange experience, but anyway. Nice to see him all the same.
Indeed.
Any
And
other way.
how has your week been? Just a bit quick catch up, and just sort of little domestic
Absolutely, yeah.
chat. How has your week been?
Week has been relatively okay, thank you. Yes, I know, as okay as one can be in the run up to Yom Kippur. So to explain, obviously, to anyone who doesn't know, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, basically is seen as the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. It is the day when you are ultimately tasked with repenting for your past year's sins. And I regret, I'm not sure one day was long enough for me, but I tried. Let's see what happens. So hopefully scribed into the book of life for another year, which of course is the great suspicion and the great mystery that shrouds Yom Kippur, is that we believe that if you don't do things right, you may be risking your year ahead. But let's see.
That sounds a bit like...
Well, I tried. I mean, I think I spent a total of, in the past 24 hours, and let me get this right. I think I spent a total of 11 and a half hours in synagogue. So I think I did.
Oh, yikes.
So I think I was there long enough, I hope. So we'll see.
Okay.
So, but any odd way. I've got a real attack of the munchies today because, of course, one has to fast for 25 hours. And
no.
As a result of it, it's amazing how ravenous one can get the day after. But anyway, never mind. So I shall muddle on through regardless.
Okay, one quick thing before we move on to telly. Because there are lots of words I don't know in the English language or indeed in any other language. What does nebbish mean?
Oh, dear. Yes, I was afraid you were going to ask this. It basically... Nebbish is a pauper, if you like, or someone who's in like an unfortunate situation.
Straitened circumstances.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes.
Okay. Right.
Or possibly even it could also apply to someone who's like quite weak in character, something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of a couple of meanings. I can't explain it really. It's ridiculous. There's so many words in Yiddish that one struggles to explain in English because I only use the Yiddish. I wouldn't use the English. So, but I would say that it's someone who's probably either deprived, not necessarily in money, but maybe sort of someone who's it's maybe someone you take pity on. Maybe that might be a way to describe it.
Okay.
So I think that's the best way of putting it. But yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. I wasn't sure. Jonathan used it 2 or 3 times, and I kept thinking,
he did. Yes, I thought at the time. Hang on a sec. I might have to define this. And it's like, please don't ask me to define it. Please. Well, how am I going to say it? But yes. Any odd way. So yes, before I become much of a nebbish, let's move on.
Okay. Well, thank you for the enlightenment.
Quite all right. A great pleasure. So if we were to step forward into the world of television and ask you what has caught your eye this week, what would you start us with?
Actually, I'm going to tell you to go to the cinema as soon as you possibly can from next Friday, because this is, as you know, the screening season when all BAFTA members have to watch as many films as they possibly can in advance of the voting period, which starts at the end of December.
Just putting it out there. Need a screening body, never say never.
So every night of the week, there are 3 or 4 screenings that I could go to. Different movies. All the PR companies put little screenings on in the little private cinemas in London, sometimes in the massive cinemas, but generally in the smaller little exclusive cinemas that are in the basements of posh hotels in central London.
And they're very nice.
Very, very nice. Occasionally we get a free glass of wine, but we never really get more than that. But it's nice to have a free glass of wine when we get there. And I think I've seen 4 films this week already.
Wow.
But the one that I completely loved is called I Swear. And I don't know if you've seen the posters up around town, but it's getting a lot of publicity and a lot of talk, and deservedly so. It's a small British movie. It's a true
Oh
story.
yes.
from a
Sorry,
true
I'm just
story.
reminding myself of the flyers. Yes, of course I've seen them around.
Yeah.
I don't know what
And
it's about, but I have seen it.
It's about a guy with Tourette's, and it's just
Oh,
his story. And he is the story starts when he is a young man of 13 or 14, growing up in Galashiels in Scotland. And he develops Tourette's at that stage. Prior to that, he'd been a completely sort of, regular kid. He was in the football team. He was, super sporty, very nice young man. Certainly judging by how he's turned out to be an incredibly nice middle-aged man or late middle-aged man now. But it's basically his story of he basically gets struck down by Tourette's at the age of 14. I don't know enough about the disease to know if that's the stage that it normally manifests
no, I
itself.
must. I got to make a confession. I don't think I've ever thought about the origins of Tourette's. I've just always thought someone either has it or they don't.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've kind of analysed in any way the trigger, for want of a better term, that
Yeah.
actually starts that disease off or that
Yeah.
condition off. Is it a disease? I'm not so sure.
So
It's a condition, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no symptoms whatsoever prior
What
to
a
that.
great title, though.
Yeah, it is. It's a lovely title. It's a lovely, because actually his swearing is completely bang out of order. And without telling you the reason why, he does at one stage say F the Queen in front of her.
Okay, that's different.
And he can't stop himself, and he says it. He was there at the screening on Monday night along with the cast. The lovely Scottish actress Shirley Henderson is in it. Shirley Henderson plays his mum, and his mum is not a massively sympathetic character, but you do really understand how much she struggled. She lost her marriage. He moves out from his mum's home and moves into the home of a young friend from school whose mum is a mental health nurse and realizes that he's a lad with issues and effectively takes him in. And that's the Maxine Peake character. It's played by a nice Scottish actor called Robert. No, he's not Scottish, Northern. Yeah, I'm not sure where he's from. Probably Lancastrian. Robert Arameo, who's in some of the Lord of the Rings films. But the guy who plays the young man the adolescent up to the age of 14 is particularly brilliant. He's a very, very good young actor. It's the sort of young actor that you can, see immediately getting a Young Actor Award because he's going to go far, absolutely going to go far. But it's
since we last spoke, speaking of going far, is that the chap who made Emmy's history, as it last week, or it was for
Adolescence.
Thank you for Adolescence. Yeah.
Fantastic, absolutely wonderful. I mean, Adolescence got, I think it was 8 Emmys, which is really exceptional. It was a great piece of work. But that young man also will have a massively successful period ahead of him, I think. I don't think he'll ever be out of work after that.
No, not after that, no.
Yeah. But it's a lovely story because basically this young man is so misunderstood. He gets into trouble with the police all the time because people think that he's violent or that he's disruptive. And also he has this thing about he will suddenly bash people with his right arm. He just can't stop his right arm, swinging out and bashing people, whether that's people around him that he loves or indeed a police officer. So that gets him into a bunch of trouble as well. And in fact, one police officer sits him down and thinks, hang on, this doesn't quite add up, and really begins to help the path that he then later takes. And it's such a beautifully written story. There have been several documentaries about this guy over the years, but he has become one of the executive producers on the film, and it feels absolutely authentic. And judging by what I saw at the screening on Monday, and he shouts and screams all the time. And you sort of can't, not all the time, but I mean, if he's speaking, he speaks really quite normally. He doesn't shout out in the middle of his own sentences. But if somebody else is speaking, he will just blaspheme like crackers. And
Did he do that? Did he actually do it during the screening then?
Oh yeah. I mean, the F word and the C word, not during the. Well, I'm not sure he was in the room during the screening.
Okay.
I don't think he was, but certainly they were on stage for about 20 minutes afterwards, and there were F words and C words
Oh dear.
But because you heard it in the film for the previous hour and a half or 2 hours, you didn't.
It's almost like it prepares you. Yeah, almost like it prepares you.
Completely prepared me. So I didn't laugh when I started watching the beginning of the film. You know how you sort of laugh nervously when somebody uses a really filthy swear word. Well,
even the thought is making me laugh, but yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. But after about 10 minutes, you think, well, I'm not going to laugh at every single F word or C word because this is obviously going to happen all the way through the film. So by the time the man himself came on later, it was just lovely to see because he was so like the portrayal that one had seen on stage. It's really good. Honestly, I can't tell you. It's such a feel-good film. It will really help the understanding of Tourette's around the country. And
first thing that crossed my mind as well.
You know, clearly this man's life is not over, but he has put it to such good use. You just think, wow, you've come a long way from a really shitty start in life, and he deserves every credit he gets. So
there we go.
I swear, in the cinemas next Friday. Go and see it before everybody else does.
I'm trying not to swear during whilst you're watching the screening. Terrific stuff.
Indeed.
Right. Do you mind actually just if we sort of pause for 2 seconds to actually get your thoughts? Because I mentioned it to Jonathan Baz earlier. And of course, that it wasn't just the stage that she was associated with, but of course, possibly, I think, one of the best BBC comedies of all time. Dame Patricia Routledge has left us at the age of 96. And I just wondered your thoughts on who I believe to be quite a marvellous performer.
Oh, she was amazing. She occasionally did some work for Yorkshire Television, so I saw her in the bar a few times up there. Never actually met her myself because I wasn't in the drama department, but everybody loved her. The crews all, completely loved her. And Hyacinth Bouquet is a character that will go on forever. It's still funny. The character's funny.
I'm not just saying it. I got up this morning.
She's brilliant.
And superb, but I actually got up this morning and I don't know why, but I just turned it on. Genuinely, this was before I knew the news. I was watching it this morning.
How weird is that?
So she's just brilliant. So there's no other words to describe. The only thing I would have ever said, and it's far be it from me to speak ill of such a fine performer, is that I never saw too much difference between Hyacinth Bouquet and Hetty Wainthropp. I know that, but I know that sounds ridiculous. Because obviously they dress differently. They're based in different locations, married obviously to different people. Not to mention that in terms of the sort of the snottiness of one versus the northern housewife of the other type thing. It was more that. I think what it was is the running theme of this real cutting remark and almost sarcasm being the undercurrent of both performances. And I just saw the same person a lot of the time.
She was very good at it, though. I mean, she played that, she shot from the lip, and she was so good. Her timing was really excellent. And you can only use those lines if you get the timing right. If you get the timing wrong, the line completely fails. And she was so brilliant at that. And I think that's probably why writers wrote so much stuff like that for her, because her comedy timing was just marvelous. No, she was great. And 96, bloody hell, she did really well. I hope the last years have been happy for her.
I have to say as well that she's always overshadowed, of course, by Keeping Up Appearances, because it was, who could possibly forget Hyacinth Bouquet? Yeah. But there was another character that she played, which I think was for Victoria Wood, and it was someone called Kitty.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, so I have to look up her exactly. It was I think of the actual name of what it was, but she played this character Kitty. It was only a sort of a sketch, straight down the camera thing. Let's have a look and see. I think it was probably just called that, But one way or another, if you do a search for Kitty, Patricia
Right.
Routledge, it would come up. It was indeed. It was just called Kitty. It was on Victoria
Oh,
Wood
was
as
it?
seen on TV.
Okay, I
And
don't remember it.
I have to tell you that however hilarious Hyacinth Bouquet will always be, Kitty was just another level of hysterics. As in, honestly,
Okay.
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And this demonstrates exactly what you were saying about comic timing.
Yeah.
So I can highly recommend. I know you can imagine with Victoria Wood writing it, Patricia Routledge performing it, you can only begin to imagine how funny it must have been.
Yeah.
So any old way.
Excellent.
So there we go. Yes, sorry, I beg your pardon. So what else have you happened
No,
across?
not at all. I'm going to send you to the Pyrenees now.
All right, see you.
Very, very, very beautifully shot sort of French noir detective series that's rather good. I rattled through it. I mean, I went through the first 2 episodes super speedily, and then I thought, yeah, I can't put this to one side. I'm going to have to do the rest. So I did the whole lot over a weekend, and it was really worth watching. Very good story. It is called Rivière Perdue.
Oh.
Rivière Perdue. My best French accent, which is Lost River.
It's a heck of a lot better than the French make an attempt when they try and speak English. Have you ever noticed it's always the English, always, who try and put on an accent to speak another language? When anyone else, it's true this, when anyone else who is from foreign shores tries to speak English, they will never put on a British accent.
That's interesting. I don't think I'd ever really thought of that before.
It's weird, isn't it? I have no idea why we do it.
Weird.
It's almost like British hospitality, that we want to make someone feel comfortable when we speak to them.
Okay. But then we wouldn't say to somebody, do you live in Paris? Or would we?
Well, no, but I mean, we might, let's put it this way. If
Yes.
I was to try and attempt to speak to someone, I wouldn't say bonjour, monsieur. Do you know what I mean? You'd try and say it with a French accent, wouldn't you?
Well, you should say it with a French accent.
No, I know, but then that doesn't mean that someone should speak English with a British accent, does it? It's a weird thought, isn't it? I don't know why, but I've often found it very strange. Anyway, I digress. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Sorry.
Anyway,
Back to
Rivière Perdue
Yeah.
is it's on Amazon Prime, so hopefully you've got Amazon Prime.
I
am Disney minus at the moment because I have a bit of an issue with Disney. So my Disney Plus is now Disney minus. But that aside, I've still got Amazon Prime.
Yes, well, I can't deny I've sort of also got a bit fed up of Disney and I've cancelled it. So I'm afraid I'm also Disney minus at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, no, mine was more a political little bit of foot stamping on my part and just saying I think free speech should be allowed. But there we are. That's another story. We'll go into that another day.
Not by any chance anything to do with Mr. Kimmel, is it?
Just possibly.
Possibly.
It could have been anybody. But having worked in late night television, having done comedy,
But he is back on now.
I know he's back on. But I absolutely fundamentally agree that you should be allowed to say what you want to say as long as it doesn't incite violence. I mean, other than that, I think, and especially in a comedy setting, I mean, the James Well radio show that we were talking about the other day, as you know, that was basically just, it was a comedy show with a bit of music and some chat. And James got away with absolute blue murder, but it was his right.
Yes. No, totally and utterly. I must admit, as much as I personally didn't care for his comments, I don't believe in cancel culture either. So,
no, exactly. Anyway, the Pyrenees, the story very briefly is 2 teenage girls, 2 12-year-old girls go missing. And one of them reappears 5 years later, but won't say anything about where she's been and what's been going on. There's a local policeman who's very hench, as my kids would say, very buff. And then the 2 sort of super gendarmes arrive from the HQ and they sort of push him around a bit. But one of the people who arrives from HQ is this absolutely gorgeous senior detective. And you think, oh, there's a little bit of sort of French sexual tension bursting onto the screen here, which it lifts it into a different place. But that's another side of this, actually, I think, rather well thought through 6-part drama. But it's all based around the reappearance of a girl who had gone missing 5 years earlier. And it's who, what, where, why, and when. And it's worth watching, and it's beautifully filmed. It's very good cinematography. It rattles along. There's, not much spare flesh on the bone. It just takes you with it very quickly. So it's good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Excellent. Just remind us what it's called again, just for no other reason, just to hear your French accent.
Rivière Perdue. Lost
Rivière
River.
Perdue. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
I think now we're just going to make a point of now any French is going to be said in an English accent. Rivière Perdue. There you go. Right. Marvelous. Sounds much better. Right. Excellent stuff. We have about 5 minutes. So what else have you got up your sleeve?
Okay. Well, do you want another drama, or do you want... I could lump together very quickly 3 celebrity-related programs, which would basically put you off ever becoming famous. If you ever wanted to be famous, you could watch these 3 dramas and go, these 3 programs, I never, ever want to be famous. One is...
Well, my intrigue knows no bounds now. You're going to have to talk about that.
One is AKA Charlie Sheen, which is a 2-part documentary fronted by Charlie Sheen, who is the son of Martin Sheen, the American actor. He is also an actor, very celebrated actor, had very, very, very messy life, drink, drugs, everything up the wazoo and back again. But it's reflective. It's really interesting. I mean, a whole load of stuff I really didn't know about his life. It's got very good authored pieces in. It's got 2 of his ex-wives in, it's got his kids in, it's got one of his brothers in, and it shows the impact on everybody else when you have somebody in the family who is a complete nutcase and is just destroying lives right, left, and center. And then if you want a heist documentary, the Kim Kardashian heist, the Diamond Heist, which is basically a documentary about when Kim Kardashian got all her jewels stolen in Paris. It's just a good heist documentary. You just go, okay, I really want to know what happened here. But again, you just sit back and think, why would you ever wear jewelry outside the front door if you were Kim Kardashian ever again? I mean, she was genuinely very frightened. But it just makes you think, I don't want that level of fame. It must be completely awful. And then there's also a good 2-part documentary on Taylor Swift that is on
Said no one ever.
Channel 4. So no, and again, I knew nothing really about Taylor Swift. I know what she is as a phenomenon.
Oh, you amaze me. You're not a Swiftie at heart, are you not?
No, I'm not a Swiftie. I mean, I barely recognize her music. I mean, I know it's lovely, bouncy pop music, but I'm
going to be perfectly honest with you. I genuinely have never understood what the draw is. I know I'm in a minority. I know she's got millions of fans worldwide, but it's just...
Watch the documentary. But being famous is not all it's cracked up to be. So the Kim Kardashian heist is on the BBC. Taylor Swift is on Channel 4, just called Taylor. And AKA Charlie Sheen is on Netflix.
Superb. Thank you very much, Chantal. Well, I've just got time to tell you that off the back of your recommendation, I did manage to catch. I can't remember if I told you this. Did I tell you this was it on last week? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. No, I wasn't here last week.
All right. I can't remember if I told you or not that I actually did manage to catch I Fought the Law off the back of your recommendation, and it is sensational.
Yeah.
So not really any other words to describe it. And actually, curiously, there's a real life documentary as well. I Fought the Law, the Anne Ming story.
Oh, really?
And it's actually on ITVX now as well, off the back of the success of the drama, and watch that as well, because it's
excellent.
I mean, even when you thought that everything you'd seen in the drama wasn't haunting enough, to hear it from her is just unbelievable.
Amazing. So, I'll look out for that. So, okay.
Cracking stuff. Thank you very much indeed, Chantal. Much appreciated. Are you with us next week? I can't remember. You're off sometime.
No. I'm around for the rest of the month, I think.
Oh, good. So, perfect. All right. Oh, good. Well, in that case, it'll be a repeat of this week's show because Russ is not here next week. So there you go. Thank you, Chantal. Have yourself a superb week. Thank you. Sorry, I cut you off in your prime there. How rude of me, but any odd way. Thank you. I do apologise because that's it. We run flat out of time. So thank you very much indeed to Chantal Rickards. Thank you very much indeed also to Jonathan Baz and to you as well. I'm very sorry that I haven't had a chance to read out the comments, but hello to everyone who said hello. And thank you very much indeed for your thoughts to Dave Sleet and Kimmy Lashmar and Asa Don Brown as well. From me, Phil Dave, I would love to say Russ is back next week, but he's not. He's back. I think he's back on Monday. So I'm sure if you tune in on Monday, he'll be here then. So hopefully he'll see you then. And I will see you next Friday, all being well. Thank you very much. Be well, keep safe. Till next time. Bye-bye.